Today, I get to repair this Manitowoc ice machine that is not working. So the original call was that the machine kept on tripping the breaker, which is right over here, inside that panel right there. Every time it gets clicked on, it trips immediately. Let's see, so it's this one right here. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. It was kind of like humming a little bit, and then it just snapped or tripped. Long story short, the issue with this machine is that the compressor is grounded. I have to replace the compressor, which I have right here in this box. I'm going to walk you through the whole process of how to replace the compressor. Before I pull that one out, I will show you how I tested to see that the compressor was grounded, and then prove that that's the reason why my breaker's being tripped. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all this stuff off, take the scoops off the top, take the front panel off, take the side panel off, just get everything all opened up so that we have access to what we're working on. And then even though the screen's off, I will double check that the thing has no power and make sure that the breaker box is secured so no one goes in there and turns it on me. Machine is all opened up with my meter set to voltage. I can check this. It's kind of a pain to do with one hand, but essentially the line side of the contactor, I've got no power. You can also check each leg to ground and they're both dead. I've also verified that the breaker is off, and unfortunately I don't have a key to it, and this top one is locked and the bottom one is not. There's nobody else in the restaurant, so I'm just going to close the bottom of it. If I close this one, I have to actually bust it open because there's no key to that. So luckily I'm close enough to where no one's going to go in there and mess around, and I don't have to worry about that. So now that we verified that there's no power, I'll show you what it looks like when the compressor is grounded. I just put this to tone. Essentially, if you measure from one of the posts to a ground source, you shouldn't get that. So I'm measuring from one of the posts to one of the copper lines. I get a tone. This one, I don't. Let's see if I can get it to... Oh, I do actually. I might get them on all of them. I can't remember. There we go. There we go. So all of these are grounded. So there shouldn't be continuity between these posts and the copper line. Shouldn't be continuity between these posts and this. Essentially, when the power comes to the machine on the far side of the contactor where the red wire is, it's just called a shunt. So basically, it's just a straight line with power, comes out through this red wire here, goes in here and goes directly into the compressor. That's why when I turn on the breaker, it's passing power through the shunt directly into the compressor, and then it's electrifying this entire cabinet. Basically, all of these copper lines get hot. This turns hot. I would assume that this does. Thankfully, it trips right away, so no one gets shocked. But if you ever measure between your posts and a ground source and you get a tone, then you are experiencing a grounded compressor. So first thing I need to do to replace the compressor with this guy is recover the gas or the refrigerant. In this case, it's R410A, and it's 38 ounces. So just let me get my gauges and my recovery machine all set up and get that going. Got everything all set up. Recovery tank. Everything is open except for this. Open, 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 open. Yes, you could try to recover the high side first, but in this application I found that it doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the pressures equalize first, let just some of the refrigerant flow into the tank freely. I don't know if you could hear it or if it's even flowing, but next I'm just going to grab this extension cord, let this thing run, until both my gauges come down at least below 0. That way I know all the gas, aka refrigerant, is out of the system. While that's running, I'm gonna work on getting some of this stuff disconnected, take off my thermistor here, make sure I save my clip and my little insulation. I'm also going to pull back some of this insulation, get better access to the 2 spots I need to unweld, which is here and here, and then figure out how I'm gonna get that thing out because it is heavy, as well as get that one up into its place. So, wish me luck. Now that we're done recovering, I'm gonna get this stuff out of my way. I've got my nuts removed and the thermistor removed and the insulation removed. I'm going to connect my nitrogen, start flowing some nitrogen through here, and then all I have to do is undo this weld. Hopefully it comes apart nice and easily. Then I'll remove this guy, and then I have to replace the filter dryer back there. Normally, I would replace the filter dryer last, but considering where it's located, I'm probably going to remove this guy, then remove the filter dryer, replace the filter dryer, and then replace this guy. Nitrogen flowing, only about 3 to 4 psi. I'm not going to record while I do it, but torch set, those 2 things are going to get unwelded. Now I just have to figure out how to get this heavy ass thing down onto this level and get that one in its place. Shout out Planet Fitness. Filter dryer, gonna get replaced real quick. New filter dryer installed. Still smoking a little bit. Getting that one in there was interesting, to say the least. I haven't pulled these out yet. I'm gonna give these spots here a little bit of sand to clean them up, and then I'll pull these plugs, drop these in there, and get to welding. I believe this one has an adapter on it. I was able to keep the adapter on this when I pull it out, so I'm just gonna reuse it. Otherwise, this would be way too big for that hole, and you'd have to get a filler piece or some sort of step, either step up or step down to get those things to line up properly. All welded in. I got it pressurized to 300. I'm going to leak check all my welds, make sure we're not, make sure we are sealed completely, make sure we're not leaking. Pressure check complete. I'm all set up to start running my vacuum. I will also, in just a second, take this cover off, double check that I'm not actually grounded by doing the same test, and we can see the difference. While the vacuum's pulling, I will connect the rest of all this stuff, put everything away that I don't need, get ready to recharge with some 410. Here's this, so you can see that we're no longer grounded. Nothing on that one. Nothing on that one. And nothing on that one. Normally, I would change out all of the starting components when I replace the compressor, just as a precaution. But unfortunately, all I have is the run capacitor, the PTCR, and the contactor are both back ordered. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna pull that guy out of there, test it, see if it's good or bad. Either way, I'm gonna replace it with this one, and then I'll also pull the PTCR out, test it, see if it's good or bad. I am fairly certain that the contactor is good, so there's not really any reason for me to test that. but we will come back later with a new contactor and a new PTCR and replace those at a later date. They're backlogged like 2 weeks, and I don't want this machine to be down for another week because it's been down for about a week already. Both of these are reading basically where they're supposed to be. It's at 47, but there is a plus or minus on these of 6%. So 45 is the target, but if it's within 6% of that, it's usually good. For those of you who are unaware, this is how you do the check for the PTCR. Essentially, you're just going to measure between the two spades on either end and then see if your own values match up. The one I have is this 305C19. Even though that says blue or tan, I actually have a black one, and I just measured it. It measures at about 36, so it's in between that 21 to 39. And then I double checked my part number in the parts breakdown, made sure it matched 8504993. 8504993. So the color doesn't match up, but that number does, and that number does, and then I'm within range for my own values. We're now under our 500 micron mark. I'm going to get this guy all set up with the refrigerant bottle and get ready to recharge and see if this thing makes ice or not. Okay, we're all set up to recharge. I have my low side closed off. High side is open. High side is open. This is still open. I might as well close it. Doesn't really matter. I'll probably end up having to feed a little bit towards the end, meter it in through the low side, just because sometimes it doesn't take the entire charge through the high side. I did warm this bottle up with some hot water, so the pressure will build up inside this tank and help shoot it up through. So now that this thing is zeroed, I know that I need 38 ounces, which is 2 pounds, 6 ounces. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this guy open and cut this guy open. And then I'm just gonna watch my charge jump up and just like that. A little bit extra, 1.5 ounces, and we'll probably end up losing that when we take off our gauges. But now that we're charged and we're all put back together, all the wiring's done, I'm gonna go click on the breaker so that we can actually pull the charge, the rest of the charge from this hose and this hose. We can pull it in through the low side and then see if the machine's actually working. We just fired up like we're supposed to. High side pressure. I'm actually going to, what am I gonna do? I'm going to close this off for right now, just so we can monitor the high side pressure and the low side pressure at the same time. This will just allow what's in this line to get pulled in. And we don't want it to jump up all that high. Oh, there we go. Just a little bit at a time. You don't want liquid refrigerant getting to the compressor. And then meter in the rest of this. Go. So that's open. And close this guy off. So now, last thing we're going to do is get the liquid refrigerant out of here. The way I would do that is close this guy off. Just going to monitor the pressures real quick. We're at about 350 and 50. We are in pre-chill, which just means this guy is getting cold, which it is. You actually see some of those drips frozen into ice already. As soon as it goes into freeze and water starts going over the evaporator, which should be in a couple seconds now. We'll see our pressure jump up. There we go. Now it's in freeze. These should both go up a little bit because of the heat load. It's not a lot, but they did go up a little bit. And we are in freeze, and we're just gonna see how long it takes to make a batch of ice. While I'm waiting, I'm gonna take all this stuff apart, put everything back together, and get ready to jet on out of here. So we just cycled into harvest. Unfortunately, my microphone just broke. So this thing should drop ice here in about, I don't know, a minute to a minute and 40. Freeze time was 15-16. So we are on track with what we're supposed to be doing. All done with that compressor replacement on a Manitowoc ice machine. So we basically went through the whole process, how to diagnose why the ice machine is tripping the breaker, how to verify which component in it was. In this case, it was the compressor. It's just commonly referred to as grounded, meaning the windings inside the compressor somehow are touching the walls on the inside of the compressor. And when the power goes into the compressor, it just kind of goes into the wall of the compressor and then travels through, the frame and the copper refrigerant lines and everything. So it's all bad. Usually, as soon as you turn on the power, it trips and then it's game over from there. So was able to pull it out, replace it. I was kind of nervous about how heavy that compressor was, but luckily I was able to get it in there and ran a couple test cycles and it made ice perfectly. So going forward, Ice Machine 411, check out the channel, check out Patreon. You can email me, icemachine411@gmail.com. If you want to get in contact with me, I'm pretty easy to reach. And yeah, we can talk, ask me some questions. I'm more than happy to give some advice where I can help. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video.